Hey there folks, Sean Shaughnessy back with you. Wanted to talk a little bit about something that's near and dear to my heart, and I think a lot of people excel at this, but more and more people tend to fall down or really don't even know the power of what we're going to talk about. Let me ask you if this sounds like you, okay? Let's say that you stayed up to midnight again. During the time between dinner and going to bed, you didn't do anything particularly remarkable. You did hang out with your family for a little bit, fantastic. But once that was over, you got magically sucked into the boob tube. You finally hit the hay around midnight, but you find your brain wrestling with different thoughts for the next 30 to 60 minutes. So you really don't drift off to sleep until 12:30, 1 o'clock. And then, you don't sleep particularly well. The alarm goes off at 6:30. You hit the snooze button 2-3 times. You spend 20 minutes that morning trying to figure out whether or not your tie matches the suit, and inevitably the shirt that you picked out is missing a button, so you're running around frantically trying to get to the office, and you have just created for yourself a considerable amount of stress. And the simple fact of the matter is that with some adjustments, you can make a morning routine become something that will keep you more productive, keep you happier, alleviate stress, and alleviate that hurried and rushed feeling. But it takes discipline. It's not something that you can do overnight. You need to work on this, bite by bite. You can't just say, tomorrow morning I'm going to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to run 10 miles, and then I'm going to eat a healthy breakfast. You need to dive into this with a bit of moderation. But, it's certainly better than being rushed and hurried out the door. You're grabbing that cup of coffee right as you're running towards your car. No breakfast in hand, so you're starting the morning off with virtually nothing. So can we avoid this? Most of the time, the answer is yes. Life happens. Things are going to happen. The morning routine is not going to be followed every single day. But 9 days out of 10, if you keep this routine together, you are going to feel so much better about yourself. So, let's talk a little bit about what a routine is. Well, the Merriam-Webster's dictionary basically defines a routine. I'm going to paraphrase here a little bit, but the dictionary defines it as a series of habits or steps that are continuously done to achieve a certain outcome. Okay? That definition is actually meant for somebody on the line at a factory, but in fact that is indeed what a routine is the gradual development of habits done in usually a sequential order that produces a particular result. So I want to throw up on the screen my particular morning routine. Okay, and I want you to take a look at this, and I want you to see what I do every morning. And the reason why I can do this now is because I've been playing around with my limbic system and my prefrontal cortex. Why does that have anything? What does that have to do with a morning routine? Well, your limbic system is the part of your brain that is going to say, I don't want to do this. Take another 15 minutes to sleep. You know, what's going to change really? And you know, the prefrontal cortex, that is the parent of your brain, if you will. That's the go to bed at 10, make sure your clothes are picked out before you go to bed. Don't hit that snooze bar, and make sure you eat a healthy breakfast. So those two parts of your brain are consistently opposed to one another, and you need to train your brain so that the prefrontal cortex wins more than the limbic system that would rather have you take it easy until the pain of taking it easy outweighs the pleasure of doing it the right way. So one thing that you need to know, okay, I do not put a limit on the number of activities that are on my morning routine. However, I do put a limit on the amount of time that I spend on my activities. As you might guess, some of the activities on my morning routine are obviously enjoyable. I could sit down for 2-3 hours and read a good book, but I know that using the Pomodoro system that we talked about earlier, that 20-25 minutes, that's about as much time as I really should devote to reading at that particular time. And I'm not talking about romance novels, guys and gals. I'm talking about books that are going to help you in some form or fashion. Switching pages here. Also, I want you to know that the reason why I put a time limit on those actions, for example, email, it makes you act swiftly and decisively. Email can be a huge time suck. Everybody knows that. But if I put a 20-minute timer on my email box in terms of what I'm going to, throw in the trash and starve for a later review today when I actually need to take action, etc., I'm going to be able to get through that, and my brain is going to be able to relax and take it easy, okay? I also have a morning routine. Now, I'm not suggesting, not a morning routine, but an evening routine. And I'm not suggesting that you need an evening routine, okay? But having an evening routine has done wonders for me. Okay, my evening routine is fairly simple. I get the load of laundry out of the dryer. I fold it, put it away. I will shine my shoes for the next day, pick out what I am going to wear, make sure it's ironed, pressed properly, and then about 9 o'clock I'll fall underneath the covers and I will read, as opposed to looking at another blue screen. Why is looking at a blue screen a bad idea, like your phone or your tablet, your computer, what have you? Well, study after study has shown that blue screens, in other words, those LCD screens that emit a light that is blue in nature, don't ask me how they came up with that, they actually trigger your brain into a brainwave that is not conducive for falling to sleep. So if you are staring at a laptop in your bed for 45 minutes before you really want to fall asleep, you may have a bit of a problem with that. So be cognizant of that. Be really aware of your usage of electronics. In my family, we have a hard and fast rule. After 8 p.m., the electronics go off. I mean, everything. Bottom line. Now, after the kids go to bed, we might catch a little bit of the 9 o'clock news, maybe the first 10 or 15 minutes, but usually it's a hard and fast rule that at 8 o'clock, the blue lights go off. 9 o'clock, my wife and I, we try to take the boob tube and turn it off. This has been a lifesaver for me. I don't have stressful mornings anymore. I know in advance what I am going to wear. I know if the tie that I have picked has a grease spot on it or not. I know my shoes look good. I know what I am going to do tomorrow morning, and it isn't a big deal. I probably save 15-20 minutes of time by doing something in a relaxed fashion the night before than doing it in a hurried fashion the morning of. And as we all know, nothing's worse than being rushed out the door. That's just, it just isn't a whole heck of a lot of fun. So an evening routine is definitely something that I would urge you to take a look at. I'll go ahead and I'll throw a copy of my evening routine up there as well. Routines in general are very good for the brain. The reason why they are good for the brain is because, like I said earlier, you go to bed at midnight and you stir for 30 to 60 minutes as your brain continues to process those open loops and those tasks that you left undone, and your brain doesn't like that. Your brain is not meant for storage. It is meant for critical thinking. Now, obviously, we have memories, but as far as those things that are pressing in the immediately, your brain's not designed to hold that. So it's trying to wake you up and saying, wake up, you need to get this on paper, you need to get this done, you need to make sure that you're organized. That's why you stir, that's why you get stressed, that's why things usually result in a hurried morning for many, many, many people. So, one thing that you also may notice, exercise. Now, I know I'm a big guy. Some of you may think, okay, Sean, are you really exercising? The answer is yes, I do exercise, but I used to do it in the morning. And I felt great, but I noticed that I felt great regardless of whether I did it when I first got up or whether I did it in the mid-afternoon. I decided to move my exercise routine to the mid-afternoon because it was a wonderful way to knock out that 2 p.m. lull. And we all know what we're talking about. You go to lunch, and that thing's heavier than a brick sitting in your stomach, and all the blood is rushing from everywhere into your stomach to try and digest that, and you just want to go to sleep. A wonderful way of combating that is by doing physical exercise. As everyone here more than likely has heard, physical exercise is going to release endorphins in your brain, making you feel good, giving you energy, and you're going to be able to hit the home stretch. That day, knowing that you have plenty of reserves in your tank to crank through whatever needs to be cranked through. So, in conclusion, I believe morning routines are extraordinarily important. For me, I believe a morning and an evening routine, both of those for me are extremely important. Don't bite off more than you can chew. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. If that sounds absolutely ridiculous to you, I get it. But if you're getting up at 7, let's move it back to 6:45 and have a bit of a ritual, if you will. Maybe even those 15 minutes will give you an advantage over your day. And ultimately, that's what we want to do. We want to have the most productivity out of our day, i.e. the most in fees, the most in commissions, the most in assets under management. And when you implement tools such as what I'm talking about today, you're going to find that you're going to be a whole lot happier physically and mentally, but your wallet just may end up a little happier as well. So, until next time, thank you so much for giving this video a look. I appreciate you clicking on the button, and we'll talk to you again soon. Take care.